Side to the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Hour 106.
Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Just how we get in here, and if we get in anywhere, we have too much to change, not to know the range of possibility and changeability. Violence and crime is commonplace within these set times. No man walk free. Prophecy come closer to fulfillment in that sacred times. Why should this be? And as we fight one another with the power and the glory, the kingdom goes to waste. And every drop of blood we take, happy we own this grace, yeah. Happy we own this grace. Can't build no foundation, but if and abroad. Are we building a nation, or are we building a house? And every time you ask the song old friend, you hear say just last night, we need a side here. And if you talk too loud, and if you walk too proud, watch where you lay your head, or on the dread, where the rain can't build no dreams, and a fuss and a fight. We don't care who I do it. it that's not right. And as we fight one another with the power and the glory, your kingdom goes to waste. And every drop of blood we take, I feel we own this grace. Yeah, I feel we own this grace. Can't build no dream, but a fuss and a fight. We don't care who I do it, just say that's not right. And as we fight one another with the power and the glory, the kingdom goes to waste. And every drop of blood we take, I feel we own this grace. Yeah, I feel we own this grace. Can't build no dream, but a force and a fight.
Ernie Smith with the timeless, very timeless and appropriate piece. We the people, the power and the glory. Before that, we also shared with you the poem Invictus. And this one comes to us from William Ernest Henley. What are your thoughts? We're taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. How do we find you this afternoon? What's on your mind? What are your thoughts? What are your issues? What are your considerations? What are your issues? And how are we going to tackle these matters in a unified way? It's a lot to consider. We've been here before, and regrettably, we're still here. What are we going to do about it? Let's discuss. 876-922-4112-5. Text line, as we said, same as the WhatsApp number. Let's properly introduce today's edition of the program. We're still in the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the Decade of Action for Road Safety, and the Decade of Indigenous Languages. It's the 12th day of the 8th month of 2024. Put another way, it's the 12th day of the 3rd month of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. And there's a disturbed weather that we heard about earlier. And if required, we'll be quick to dispatch information so that we all can be aware of what's happening. And so let's get on with it. It is Monday, the 12th of August, 2024, and we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices. And that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
And as we fight one another for the power and the glory, Jackie from boys, see the people walk just where we're going. Right now we have our time, hide behind the rock while the sun we want to protect. Where do we stand? We have too far to go, not to really know just how we can take it there. And if we get it anywhere, we have too much to change, not to know the way of possibility and changeability. Violence and crime of a place. You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15. You are a dedicated small business owner dreaming big of growing your business and reaching new heights. With Access Financial Services, you can grow from where you are to where you want to be. Grow from a corner shop to your very own store, from truck driver to trucking fleet, from hairdresser to your own salon. Secure your small business loan of up to $20 million and watch as your business grows from plan to possibilities. Grow your business today with Access Financial Services. Conditions apply.
this place, yeah. I feel we all this place. Can't build no foundation, but I keep on a vote. Are we building a nation, or are we building a hut? And every time you ask the song, poor friend, you hear say just last night. Give me that side, and if you talk too long.
And so we woke up to news this morning and subsequently learned of a story of criminals overseas being behind bars involved in Clarendon mass killing. That's the word from the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Andrew Holness this morning confirmed that criminal players from overseas and incarcerated persons were behind the mass killing of 8 people in Cherry Tree Lane, Clarendon, late Sunday. 10 other people, including a 1-year-old infant, were injured in the 2 separate shooting incidents, which occurred approximately 8:45. And the story goes on to say that Mr. Holness was speaking at a press conference at the office of the Prime Minister, and that he said the killings represent an attack on every Jamaican and every community. He called it an act of terror. And so that's the news that we woke up to this morning. The acting commissioner of police, Fitz Bailey, confirmed to the Gleaner that at least one person was arrested and convicted in the US as a result. Meanwhile, Mr. Holness said the National Security Council has given a directive to the security forces to launch an all-out assault on the gangs involved. He said, for too long, the country has played with gangs. There is no way that 8 persons can be killed in one incident in Jamaica, and the state stands as if nothing happened. No, every gang member, every gang will feel the full force of the state today. This must never happen again in Jamaica, he said. The words there of the Prime Minister. So what do you think? What are your thoughts? The lines are open, 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. And the text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. Keep those messages coming in and those comments. Esmond, we'll come back to that message in a moment. And let's check on some of the other messages that are coming in here on both sides of the story. Power 106 FM still streaming live on the Gleaners website. I don't know. Someone was saying to me this morning that I need to, in the strongest way, condemn what has happened. But that is to those of us in this field and just Jamaicans in general, we have had to condemn these acts for a long time in this country. And so often we have had to do that just to say to our fellow citizens, let us in one voice make our position clear on these matters. And so we trust that indeed we are in one voice even now. And we have another moment that we are required to condemn another act of savagery. It has to stop. It has to stop. We're hurting not just everybody else, but we ourselves as individuals, and puncturing possibilities for our country. Of course, we have issues, lots of those. Of course, there are those who need to do better. Of course, we can do more. We have that opportunity to do that now. Otherwise, who knows? Let's just put it as simply as that. Otherwise, we, like the rest of us, will have to deal with that which comes with that kind of a scenario or society which we wouldn't want. We have to do better. And just to check for some of the other messages in a little while. We see Richie Nebar trying to get our attention. His foundation is doing a back to school treat. Thank you for sharing that information once again and for your back to school initiative, and all the very best in that regard. But to get back to the point we're making, we have been here before, and we have said it here before, and we're still doing it again. Jamaicans at home and abroad, those of us who know better, let us do better. Those of us who are in a position to play a meaningful part, let us do it. Otherwise, things will get worse. Let's do it for Jamaica, shall we? And our children and generations to come. When that question is asked, what did you do in order to stop the savagery? Wonder what that response will be. We have to do better. And there are different ways in which we give succor to some people, that certain things become normalized and certain behaviors and we don't make the connections to come to our senses, that to see that something is off, something is wrong, and to do whatever it takes to demonstrate that we are not going to put up with certain practices. We have to fix it. I don't know about you, but I don't have anywhere to run to. I only know Jamaica. And the least we can do is make Jamaica even more habitable than it is right now, in which respect it will be better for all of us. But how much longer must we move in and out of these cycles? You never know what will happen on any given day. I mean, which is a fact of life in reality. We don't know, we never know what is going to happen until it happens, even if we plan it or don't plan it. We don't know. So there are some things we're able to control. There are others we can't. Life happens. We need to hear the voice of the people of Jamaica. We'd love to hear from you. 876-922-4112-5. On this afternoon's Both Sides of the Story, Poro 106 FM. We're taking your calls, your thoughts, your issues, your questions, your concerns. The numbers to call 876-922-4112-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. One of our regular listeners, Cuban in Georgia, says, "Good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. This sounds like the police have no investigation skills." Why do you say that, Cuban in Georgia? Tell us more, please. Are they going to operate like the criminals? What do you mean by that, Cuban in Georgia? Maybe it's time for you to pick up the phone and give us a call so that we can share the discussions openly as opposed to putting in writing a few words and then move to another bunch of words and so on and so forth. Let's see if we can keep it active, Cuban in Georgia, so we can ask questions of your expressions. But you seem a little more interested in talking about extrajudicial killings. And as usual, will they use fire to fight fire, or will the police use water to control the fire? And then he goes on to say, Sir Malcolm, the politicians are in charge of the... No, we're not going to read what doesn't make sense or takes the wrong turn. So we're going to jump over that. And you are seemingly saying that, or pointing to who started what and who is in charge and who is not. More powerful than the politicians. So, Cuban in Georgia, you seem to know a lot. You perhaps need to give some information, come forward with information. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Borough 106 FM. The time is now
2:30. Looking to take your agricultural business to the next level? New growth opportunities are here with the Development Bank of Jamaica. Small farmers, agri-processors, and all MSMEs in the agriculture sector can access up to $30 million in loans. Visit us at www.dbankjm.com or send us a WhatsApp text message at 876-371-3830 to find out about our agri-based loans. Conditions apply.
Till I fall, till I fret, maybe DJ have something then. All right, we are trying to do better.
I want to tell the farmers about the Digital Foundation. It not only helped me as a farmer, but it helped my entire community with farming. I want you to know that they have a new thing coming out called the 20 for 20 for 20 grants. If you're a registered community organization with disabilities, schools, even farmers, you need to apply for the grant at the Digital Foundation.
Planning an event in Kingston? Look no further than the Overseas Examinations Commission for a perfect venue rental. Situated centrally at 6 Manhattan Road, Kingston 5, where venues are well suited for any occasion, from corporate gatherings to educational workshops and seminars, or facilities cater to various needs, making your event a seamless success. Book us now via our website at www.overseasexams.org.jm or call us at 866-483-3721 and follow us on our social media pages at Overseas_Exams. Host your events with ease with the OEC.
It's a Monday afternoon, just after 2:30, and that means it's time for Land Solutions. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you have come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5, 876-922-4113-5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions today, 876-881-5254, 876-881-5254. Let's say hello and welcome to Attorney at Law, Calicia Findlay.
Good afternoon, Dervan. Thank you so much, and good afternoon, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to today's edition of Land Solutions. As Dervan just said, I'll be your host for today, Alicia Finley, and I trust everyone has or is recovering sufficiently from the Olympics. Again, a reminder, our text and WhatsApp number for today is 876-881-5254. Again, that's 876-881-5254. And the numbers to call in live on air, 876-922-411326. I was having a discussion recently with someone, and we're talking about different subjects. And we ended up talking about Property Rights of Spouses Act and the Division of Matrimonial Home. And as many of us may know, the Property Rights of Spouses Act says that each spouse is entitled to a 50% share of the matrimonial home. And the person with whom I was having the discussion was quite passionate, I should say, in his belief that the matrimonial home should not be split 50-50 simply because it is a matrimonial home. His belief was that if it's just one spouse who bought the matrimonial home, no matter the contributions the other spouse may have made to the house, to the family itself, to the well-being of the family, the upbringing of the family, once there is no monetary contribution, he does not believe that the matrimonial home should be split 50-50. And I think this is a good springboard for today, because a lot of people hold that belief. They think it all boils down to what was contributed financially in terms of how the property should be split. When the Property Rights of Spouses Act came into being, one of the main issues it sought to resolve was spouses, particularly wives not being able to get anything or any financial benefit once the marriage broke down. Because back in the day, it was the men who were working, and the women stayed home, taking care of the house, taking care of the children, and the husband too. So the wife had no income. The husband was the only income earner. They're the ones who invariably ended up buying the house, put the house in their name alone. When the marriage broke down, because the house was in their name alone, they got the house. So the Property Rights of Spouses Act came about to remedy that issue. So in essence, what the Act says is that regardless of whether one spouse contributed financially to the house, to the purchase of the house or not, once it is the matrimonial home, each spouse should get a 50% share. So I think what the person with whom I was having the discussion failed to see is that there are contributions home and took care of the house, who raised the children. So those are all things that have to be taken into consideration, because what would happen is when the marriages broke down, these wives would end up literally with nothing. They would be out on the streets. Imagine you're living in a house, it's your matrimonial home, you've been there for 20, 30 years, and at the end of the day, you end up with nothing. So some of us may not think it's fair, but it is what it is. That is what the law says, and I'll tell you this. When the Property Rights of Spouses Act came about, it was really for the benefit of women, because women, the wives, the ex-wives were the ones who were being left out in the cold, literally and figuratively. And nowadays, the roles have been reversed. It is the men who are benefiting from the property rights of spouses. Back in the day, it was the men who were working. Now, in many cases, it's the women who are the breadwinners. They're the ones who are purchasing property, and when the marriages are now breaking down, in a lot of cases, the claims are now being brought by men for their 50% share of the house. So it goes both ways. It benefits both spouses. With that being said, another thing we discussed is what are the ways to get around the Property Rights of Spouses Act. So how can you ensure, are there any things that you can do to avoid having to pay out or to give up a 50% share of the family home? First one, it's always a ticklish subject, but a prenuptial agreement. Before you get married, enter an agreement to say this house will not be considered a matrimonial home. If it breaks down, then one person will be getting it. Or if the marriage breaks down, this house will get a 20% share, 30% share, what have you. That's one way of getting around it. You can also do a postnuptial agreement, similar to a prenuptial agreement, but it is done after you are married. For persons who are willing property to their children, if you state specifically in your will that you do not want this house to be your child's matrimonial home for purposes of the Property Rights of Spouses Act, that is also one way to prevent the provisions of the Property Rights of Spouses Act kicking in the event that your child's marriage breaks down. There are other scenarios too that may, what we say, vary the 50-50% or 50-50 share in the matrimonial house. So let us say husband has owned his house for 40 years. He now gets married. For whatever reason, the marriage breaks down relatively quick. Let's say it breaks down after a couple of months or a year. The court will take that into consideration. How long has one spouse owned the house? So if the spouse owned it for 5 years and they were married for the entire 5 years, chances are the court is going to say this property should be split 50-50. But if one spouse owns it for 30 years, the marriage only lasted for a couple of months or a year, chances are the court will say, no, you're not entitled to 50%, maybe 20%, maybe nothing. So those are the other factors to consider in varying the matrimonial or the family home. What I know a lot of persons are doing too, instead of owning property any at all or living in property that you own, some spouses, some couples are opting to live in a rented house. Believe it or not, so property that they own, they will rent it, collect that rental income, and they will live in rented property with their spouse. That is also another way to avoid the provisions of the Property Rights of Spouses Act. So there are options, but just so you know, again, once you live in a house with your spouse, if it's your spouse's name alone on it, if it is your name alone on it, or if it is both spouses' names on the title, and that's where you primarily live, the law says that is your matrimonial home or the family home. Law further says that on the breakdown of the marriage, each spouse is entitled to a 50-50 share rule. And you hear me talking about the breakdown of the marriage, this not only applies to couples that are married, it also applies to common law spouses. So once you are in a relationship with someone, you live with them, both of you are single, meaning both of you are unmarried, you've been living together in that house for at least 5 years, then the law considers it your matrimonial home. You have to be very careful because a lot of people think that they qualify as a common law spouse when in fact they don't. Typical scenario: man and woman live together in a house for a long time, but lo and behold, one of them is still married to someone else. Yes, they've been separated from their spouse for a long time, 20, 30 years, doesn't matter. The fact that they are still married means that they cannot qualify as a common law spouse. So to be a common law spouse, each spouse has to be single, meaning you are not married, living together for at least 5 years. If you satisfy that requirement, then your house would also be considered the matrimonial home. If you bring a claim on the matrimonial or 50% share of the matrimonial home, you have to do it while your other spouse is alive. If you wait until your spouse or your ex-spouse has died, the law is saying that's too late. So you have to bring the act as soon as possible. If you are already divorced, the law says you have to bring that action within 1 year of your divorce being finalized. There are certain exceptions. You can make an application for an extension of time, but let us say you've waited 20 years. Chances are the court won't grant that extension. If a couple months have passed, maybe a year or two, you can make an application for an extension to file out of time. In some instances, the court may grant it, but generally, what the law says is once the relationship has broken down, you have 1 year to bring your claim. So, whether you agree with the terms of the Property Rights of Spouses Act and the 50/50 share in the matrimonial home, the law is very clear that each spouse is entitled to it. So if you're in a situation where you need to realize your share, you need to obtain your share of the matrimonial property, please do it as soon as possible. Because if you wait too long, if you wait until your spouse passes away, it may be too late. Again, our numbers to call live on air, 876-922-41135, and our text and WhatsApp number for today, 876-881-5254. This is Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45. Whether you're overseas or in Jamaica, everybody wants their liquor visa yard. Well, that's where a JMMB bank mortgage comes in. With JMMB, you'll get more support, more incentives, more benefits, more coverage with JMMB insurance brokers, and also give you more time to repay. Your JMMB mortgage expert will answer all of your questions and guide you through every step along the journey. You're not alone with JMMB. Contact us at info@jmmb.com and learn how you can get more than just a mortgage.
This message is brought to you by the Jamaica Environment Trust.
We have a right to a healthy environment, and the law so don't break our limit. Anybody who pollute can speak back them. Don't just watch it, you have to report them.
We need clean air to breathe, good healthy food to eat, grown clean and naturally. We have to take responsibility.
Excessive deforestation, burning garbage, dust and noise creation is an unlawful violation. We have to practice conservation. We have a right to a healthy environment, and the law so don't break our limit. If you have an issue, make a complaint. Let's work together to protect Jamaica. We have a right to a healthy environment, and the law so don't break our limit. We have to do it part to keep the place clean and take care of our island safe.
We all have a right to a healthy and clean environment. Report any issues to the authorities if you feel your rights have been breached. Call the Jamaica Environment Trust for more information.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on today's edition of Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4112-5. That's 876-922-4113-5. taking your calls on those numbers. Also, the text line, same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions, 876 881 5254. 876 881 5254. You can also go to www.landsolutionsja.com. That's landsolutionsja.com. The email address, gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. There is an office, let's remind you. Well, first of all, the program Land Solutions, we should let you know that Land Solutions, the attorneys, if you wish to get in touch with them, they are at shop Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, and an opportunity to get through to them from that platform. If you're not able to arrive at that platform, then there's always Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. That's another option for you. And there's more. In the meantime, though, let's send you back to Attorney at Law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. And just to let our listeners know that Gloria will be in the Ocheria's office this Thursday between 10 and 2. As Dervan just said, that's shop 6 upstairs, the JN building in Ocheria's. The number to call is 876-974-6083. So again, Gloria will be in the Ocheria's office this Thursday between 10 and 2. And I have a little cheeky comment with respect to the matrimonial home and the 50% share. Miss Finley, I think people should just not get married, not be in relationships, and not live together. That's where they won't have any issues. Perhaps. Perhaps. Continuing. Let me jump over to WhatsApp. I see quite a few messages coming in. Good day, Miss Finley, and good day, Dervan. With respect to the family home, can you have more than one family home at a time? So, for example, can the judge order that each spouse should have a 50% share of 2 or 3 houses? Thanks for that question. You can only have one matrimonial, one family home at a time. And in fact, the property rights of spouses specifically state that it is the house that the couple primarily lives in. So let us say, you have some couples are well off, they may have quite a few residences that they are that they go between. So let's say a couple has 2 or 3 houses. Only one can be considered the family home. Only one. So it would be for the judge to determine which one is their primary residence. It doesn't mean, however, that the court cannot make orders concerning other property or properties owned by spouses. A typical scenario is, let's say there's a family home, and for whatever reason, let's say one of the spouses, the wife sells it and didn't give the husband his 50% share. In a situation like that, the court can look to other properties owned by the spouses and make rulings considering those properties. But generally speaking, though, the law says only one property, one house, can be considered the family home. Let me just make a switch. Let me just try and get to some of the other messages coming in. If my registered title gives me an indefeasible interest, how come or how then can someone claim rights to my property without evidence? And how can a third party challenge my ownership? Let me go again. If my registered title affords me an indefeasible interest, meaning an interest that nobody can defeat, how then can someone claim rights to my property without evidence? Why can a third party challenge my ownership? The key is rights to property unless someone comes with clear evidence. If it is that you are disputing the evidence that they have presented, that's another case. You may have to file suit against them for fraud. So when we're making an adverse possession application, we can't just say, and I'm not being facetious, but we can't just say, I want this property. I've been paying the taxes for 20 years. That's not enough. We have to show acts of physical possession. So we have to show the person has been living there, or they have rented it out. They've been farming there. They've been pushing it every year. So we have to show acts of possession. So you cannot and you should not lose your land without evidence. So I'm not sure what may have happened in your situation, but send me a follow-up message. But you really should not lose your property unless someone has. Pay whatever is due to the seller's lawyer. But again, it doesn't matter. You can pay to your lawyer, the purchaser's lawyer, or you can pay directly to the seller's lawyer. It is the same when you're purchasing from a developer. You can pay through your lawyer, who will then pay over to the developer's lawyer. There are also instances, particularly when the developer is a big company. You know, we have certain well-known companies where you can pay directly to the developer. Once the developer is registered, and all developers should be registered according to the guidelines from the real estate board, you can also pay directly to the developer. But out of an abundance of caution, once you are represented, and you should be represented, meaning you should have your own lawyer, pay directly to your lawyer. And please don't feel that because it's a developer, or particularly a major developer, or because the seller has a lawyer, that you don't need a lawyer. Each person is looking out for their interest. The developer is looking out for his or her interest. So the purchaser needs to also do the same. So get your own attorney to look out for your interests. Please, so many instances where persons pay directly to the seller, and you know how that goes. A lot of times, the seller disappears, and so does the money. And that's when they come to us, and sometimes, unfortunately, it is too late. Where should I put my will? And where should I register or file it after I have made it? Let me respond to the second part first. You don't have to register or file a will after you have made it. Um, many years ago, people would register their wills at the records office. I don't know if it was the law back then. I don't think so. If I am wrong, someone can correct me, but it certainly isn't the law now. A will does not have to be registered or filed. If you want to have it recorded at the records office, you can, but it is absolutely not necessary. And the fact that it is not registered or filed doesn't make it any less valid. I know in some jurisdictions, after a will has been made, it needs to be filed in court or a particular registry, but that's not the case in Jamaica. You can make a will, hold it up, keep it in your dresser drawer, under your mattress, in your safe, wherever you want. Don't need to file it. So that brings me to the first part of your question. Where should you put your will? Put it anywhere where it will be safe. Whether that is in your house, in a friend's house, in your lawyer's office, your pastor's office, anywhere you consider to be safe. What you should also do is make copies of your will. When we do wills, we do them in triplicate, meaning we do 3 copies. We give the testator 2 and 1. Because it doesn't make sense that you have a will and then nobody knows about it, or you only have one and then that one is lost, or God forbid when you die, nobody knows about it. They don't know where to find it. So make copies, give one to someone to keep, or 2. You can decide how many give your lawyer to keep. But again, there's no special filing rule or requirement or registration requirement for a will. While I'm on the subject, a will does not have to be registered. A will does not have to be witnessed by a justice of the peace. Any 2 people over the age of 18 who are not beneficiaries and who are not spouses of the beneficiaries can witness your will. Doesn't make it any less valid. Reminder, Gloria will be in our Ochore's office this Thursday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. The number to call the Ochore's office, 876-974-6083. And if you'd like to call us at our head office, Winchester Business Center, Ample Tree, that number is 876-908-1950. This is Land Solutions.
Contractors, developers, and small builders. Contact Coast to Coast Group of Companies for high-quality concrete products. The time by Coast to Coast Group of Companies is
3 o'clock. Here is a financial. Which is free money. If you don't start early, you may end up needing to work much longer to catch up on your retirement savings.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story on Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. Thanks for staying with us. If you're just tuning in, thanks for joining us. We're still taking your calls on 876-922-4113-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number here today on Land Solutions, 876-881-5254, 876-881-5254. Here once again is your host on today's edition of Land Solutions, attorney at law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. Continuing with our WhatsApp messages. I want to sell my share of a deed of gift of a parcel of land to my relative. Can I use a copy of the title of the property to cut off that piece of land? And can I use a JP to draw up the document? All right, first part of your question, can you sell your share of a parcel of land, it seems that your share has not been officially cut off, so it has not been subdivided. So if you were to go ahead and try to sell it, that person would not have a title in their name unless they apply for subdivision after the fact. So if you go through with the sale, technically the land will still be in the parent title. We can use a copy of the title. That wouldn't really help you especially because you're not selling the entire parcel. You need to know the boundaries. You need to have the boundaries sufficiently identified, and then you need to have the correct identification of the boundaries. So you need to get the property surveyed. My best advice to you really is to get the property actually subdivided so you can have a legal sale. Because if you sell it as is and you try to sell it as is, you may end up with problems down the road. And the second part of your question is, can you use a JP to draw up the document, to draft the document? Your best bet is to have an attorney prepare the documentation and to give you legal advice. A justice of the peace is not necessarily an attorney. Some attorneys are JPs, but not all JPs are attorneys. And in your case, you definitely need legal advice. So I think you need to go to an attorney for a consultation. You need to apply for subdivision. First step in doing that will be to get a surveyor to come in to prepare a plan so you know exactly what you're selling. So a copy of the title is not going to give you sufficient certainty in going ahead with this sale. So please go ahead and consult an attorney.
Hi.
Jump over to Facebook. Do we have a call, Dervan?
Yes, someone is on the line.
Okay, thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Kalisa. How are you doing?
Afternoon. I'm good. How are you?
Hello? Hello?
You're not hearing her?
I'm hearing you. Please go right ahead.
No. Oh, you hear me? Okay. So let me just go back last week. You made a declaration that when you serve a person notice for late payment or non-payment, you cannot collect the rent. My question is that when you get your money, you have to sue the person in civil court to get the money, or what is it? How do you get your back rent?
I've never said that. I think what I would have said is, if you serve a notice, if you collect rent, if you serve them for non-payment of rent, and then they pay the rent, the notice then becomes void. But I would never have said that you can't pay the rent.
Right. So the question is, if they don't pay the rent, well, you have to sue them in civil court.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's one. Okay. All right. Okay. I figured that out. Okay. The next thing I want to let you know that I practice real estate here in the state. So yes, most of the state does have the real estate does work for the seller, not the buyer. So you're correct on that.
Yes.
However, like in New York, you can hire an agent as a buyer agent, and you pay them separately. So you're in New York. If you want to buy an agent, you can pay them as a buyer agent in New York. So that's it.
That is correct.
New York state law.
Yeah.
And every state have their own different law. Now, one thing I want to comment on as far as the matrimonial house there, it seems to me that we throw out the baby with the bathwater every time. I don't know how easy. The question I'm asking you, how easy for our, is it a very, say, you live in somebody, is it 6 or 12 years? I suppose after living here, is it 6 or 12 years?
But we're talking about the matrimonial home?
Yes.
No, there's no time. There's no time limit for the matrimonial home. It could be 1 year, 10 years, 20 years.
Okay, so you're telling me I can have a girlfriend come to live with me in my house for 1 year or 2 year or 5 year, whatever it is, and we decide the reason she was not working out, and she just can go and start applying to have half my property. Is that what you're saying?
It is possible. It is certainly possible, yeah.
Wow, to me that's just not. It's to me that's so not practical. Not practical. Now, yes, there are instances, in my opinion, that even though the person didn't contribute financially, they contribute in an emotional way, especially if they're married, have kids, stuff like that, children and stuff like that. But just imagine that person come live in the house for a couple of years, you put them up and now they want half your property. That's just clearly not right.
I know a lot of people disagree with it, but that is what the law says, and that's why you have to just be aware of what the law says and see how best to prevent yourself from ending up in a situation like that. And the thing is, when you're in a relationship, it's the last thing on your mind.
But these laws, just like the adverse condition, these laws need to be revisited, and they need to be what do you call it? Amended, because these things can cause a lot of problems.
But you know what though? Yeah. A lot of people, I don't know why, but some people feel like these laws are specific to Jamaica. Every country has similar laws, they may not be the exact term, but every country has, they have laws.
Yes.
They have laws.
Yes, in New York, I'm coming from New York, by the way. So in New York, we do have similar law as adverse precision, but to take someone's property from adverse precision in New York is an uphill battle. It's very hard to climb that battle. That's the first one. Mm-hmm. Second of all, if I'm not married to you, that's the first thing. If I'm not married to you, it's very, very difficult for me to claim my property. And even if you're married, there's some states like California. California is different, as I said, in America. Every state has their own law. So in California, from my understanding, the day you got married to that person owns half her property, and you own half theirs. You become like a one. So some states are different. New York State is different. So in New York State, you have to prove that you contribute financially or emotionally.
Okay, but maybe we should all move to New York then to avoid.
Yeah, I think so. I think this thing in Jamaica is crazy. But thanks very much. Very good show.
Thank you for
listening. I enjoy your show I enjoy your show every week. Very good show.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thanks again. Again, our numbers to call in live on air 876-922-411325 and the text and WhatsApp number 876-881-5254. I think I was going over to Facebook, and that's facebook.com/LandSolutions. If you include in your will how you want your body to be disposed of, and that is not done, would that make your will null and void? No, it would not. It would not. It wouldn't. What can I say? It wouldn't. Your will is still valid. So let us say you have your will and you will your house to your child, and another part of your will is that you want your body to be cremated, but then your family members don't cremate you, they bury you. Your will is still valid. To avoid that, what I would say as much as possible, have open discussions with your, and yes, you can put it in your will, but have open discussions with your relatives as to exactly what you want to happen. Because a will really is to govern property, assets, things you own. So the fact that they don't dispose of your body in the way that you stipulated doesn't have any effect on the will. In a will, with a will, the executor is in charge. The executor steps into your shoes. They're the ones who are in charge of carrying out your wishes and distributing your estate. And they have far-ranging powers. So if you say in your will, I want to will my house to my child, but your executor ends up selling the house, doesn't make your will invalid. The executor has that power. They have that inherent power. Usual scenarios, perhaps they don't have enough money to pay the attorneys, to pay the government, so they have to end up selling an asset, even if that's not what you would have wanted. Your will is still very much valid. To prevent that, you need to properly plan your estate. Excuse me. Ensure as much as possible that there's enough money to pay the attorneys, to pay the executors, etc. consider getting a life insurance policy. Perhaps that can help with your funeral expenses and other expenses, so your executors won't have to end up selling assets. In a lot of instances, too, the beneficiaries themselves sometimes step up to the plate, and the executors will say, "Listen, I don't have this money to do that. I may have to end up selling a house." The beneficiaries themselves will say, "All right, we will pay these expenses, we will pay your commission, we will pay the estate duties, we will pay the legal fees." So that is also a possibility. But when we speak about planning your estate, it involves more than just writing a will. We don't want you to write your will and then think that's it. It's all well and good to have your will. We encourage everyone to write a will, but ask yourself, all right, yes, I've done my will. Can my wishes now be carried out? Can the executor go ahead and pay the lawyers and then transfer this property to my beneficiary? So that is what we talk about. That's what we mean when we refer to estate planning. So you have to think about it holistically.
Right. Here's another. Yes, we have another message coming through for you, Calicia. It says here, I am a senior citizen. The world has always changed, but apartment buildings in Jamaica are mind boggling. Wonderful or dangerous use of space. Underground parking, pool, and gym on the roof. No grass, minimum greenery. Few palm trees, easy to blow down. But most interesting, the insurance cost for these buildings. Who will afford them amidst poverty, squalor, and crime?
That is the way the world is going. So it is indeed correct. Things are ever changing. I always say sometimes it seems as if on every corner you go in the corporate area, there is a high rise building going up. Um, and they can't go up unless they get their approvals. So their approvals are being given. And I tell you this, people are buying them. In many instances, before ground is even broken, many of the units are sold out. But that's just the world we live in. This is Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15. Power 106 FM, the digital sound, and now reaching you in more ways. Listen to us on 106.1 to 106.9 on the FM band. You can also listen to us on the Power 106 FM app, which you could download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can tune in on your mobile phones by dialing 631-359-8281 if you're in the US. And if you're in the UK, you can dial 0330-606-0953. Plus, listen to us on onespotmedia.com and the One Spot Media app, or log on to go-jamaica.com. Power 106 FM, where all views can contend, giving you powerful talk radio in so many ways, on air and online.
Land Solutions continues here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, taking your calls on 876-922-4113 to 5, 876-922-4113 to 5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions, 876-881-5254, 876-881-5254. And let's continue with this week's host of Land Solutions, attorney at law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. Ms. Finley, I heard what you just said. But if an executor sells, even though the beneficiaries disagree, can they sue him? If the beneficiaries can show that they have placed the executor in a position where he doesn't have to sell, then they can sue him. So if the executor says, I don't have any money to pay the lawyers, the government, etc., I have no choice but to sell, and the beneficiaries are all they're saying is, no, don't sell, but they themselves aren't coming up with the money, then the executor has every right to go ahead and sell, and I don't see how they would be successful if they try to sue him. If they can say, all right, fine, we have the money, we will pay you, we will pay the lawyers, we will pay the government, and then the executor still goes ahead to sell, then perhaps they could be successful in their suit. But again, the executor has the inherent right. And listen, as the executor, remember, you work for the estate. So I would expect that the executor would communicate to the beneficiaries to say, this is what is going to happen. I have no choice. I know Mama willed the property to all three of you, but I don't have any money to pay all these expenses. You're not giving me any money, so I'm going to go ahead and sell. So executors work for the estate. It is expected that they would communicate openly and continuously with the beneficiaries. And funny enough, I've seen instances where a will has stipulated that the executors should sell the property and then share the proceeds with the beneficiaries. And the beneficiaries disagree with what's in the will, and they would then want to take issue with the executor acting in accordance with exactly what the will says. So it's like, the executor sometimes is between a rock and a hard place. There is no pleasing the beneficiaries. But if the will says that the executor should sell, and the executor goes ahead and sells, then the beneficiaries just have to be happy with that, As long as the executor does their due diligence and pays out to the beneficiaries afterwards, the beneficiaries would have no claim. Good day. My ex-spouse and I own a house lot which is currently under an NHG mortgage. What action can I take to recover my contribution toward the purchase of the property? What action can you take to recover your contribution toward the purchase of the property? You can ask your ex-spouse to buy you out. If your ex-spouse is unable or unwilling to buy your half share, then you may have to just take them to court for an order that the property be sold to a third party and the proceeds be shared between you. And those are the only two options I see where you can recover what you would have put in. Or if you suspect you're not able to, but you also have the option of buying out your spouse. But failing that, your spouse would have to buy you out, or the property is sold on the open market and then the proceeds are shared equally between you and your ex-spouse.
Another.
Do you have to?
Sorry, let's just confirm. We have another one. Yes. Go ahead, please, caller.
I'm sorry, Dervan. Are you saying you have a call or a message?
Yes, there's a caller. There's a caller on the line.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Afternoon, go ahead.
Yes, can the executor be the beneficiary?
Yes, and in fact, we encourage that because we find that when the executor is the beneficiary, they're more interested, they're more eager to get things started, and there's less contention because they're really acting in their own interest. So yes, the executor can be the beneficiary.
All right, thanks. And one last thing, if I own the same property with two people, my siblings, and we cannot come to a conclusion what to do with the property, what can be done?
You may have to get a mediator to try and mediate whatever dispute you have, to come to an agreement. If that fails, unfortunately, in last resort may just have to be to go to court.
I see. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling. Do you have to accept an offer from a realtor if it is way below what you want to sell it for? No, you don't. When you are selling your property, it is up to you to decide what to accept. So let us say you have engaged the services of a real estate agent. And let me just say, when we say real estate agent or realtor, it means the same thing. When you enlist the services of a real estate agent, they will list it at a particular price. You know, they are the ones usually on the ground, so they'll have an idea of what it's to be listed for. And it's also advisable that you do a valuation. So let us say the realtor listed for $10 million, but they are getting an offer for $7 million. It is entirely up to you to decide whether you want to accept that $7 million. Some people may accept it. Some people may say, no, I want my 10 million, or I will either settle for 8, 9 million. Again, it is entirely up to you. But to avoid or to minimize any issues like this, do a valuation. Is it that, and you have to ask yourself, is this realtor really working in your best interest? Do you, as the seller, maybe have unreasonable expectations? Is your house really valued at $8 million, but you want to sell it for $10 million? So those are questions you have to ask. I mean, has my house been on the market for 5 years and I've only gotten one offer in that 5 years for $7 million? Am I still going to continue holding out for my $10 million offer, or am I going to take it because I've been waiting so long? I mean, conversely, property has only been on the market for 1 week and I've gotten one offer for $7 million. I still have time. Maybe I can wait a little more. So those are things that you should ask yourself. But at the end of the day, it is your property. It is up to you to decide what you want to accept. But again, don't be unrealistic in your expectations. My mother made her will and willed her land to me. Can she change her mind and put my name on the title now instead? Yes, of course. That is certainly possible in many instances, depending on, each person is different, but depending on the relations between parties and what their intention is. Sometimes we advise persons to go ahead and add the names to the title now. So if your mother has already made her will and she's changed her mind and she said, you know what, let me just go ahead and put your name on the title now, it can be done. And of course, if that is done, that clause in her will would no longer be valid. Certain things to consider, particularly for elderly parents, when you're adding your children's names to your title, they become co-owners with you. So you no longer solely own the property. So you have to ask yourself, do I still want to retain full control? If so, how do I want to go about that? Or do I just want them to get everything when I pass? But yes, it can be done. Your mother can change her mind and add you to the title. No. In the same vein too, if your mother made her will and she willed it to you, she can change her mind and add John Brown to the title now. And the will, with respect to that section to you, would be invalid. A will only comes into effect after death. Cannot stress this enough. So many people think that once a will is written, it comes into effect. Only comes into effect on death. So that is why a person can change their will as many times as possible. When making a will, can a family member witness the will who is not a beneficiary? Yes, certainly. Anybody over 18 can witness a will as long as they're not getting anything from the will and as long as they're not a spouse of someone who's getting something from the will. So if that person is a family member, doesn't matter. So let us say you've made your will, you willed your house to your child, the child is your only beneficiary. Your sister can witness your will because your sister is not a beneficiary. So yes, anybody, including a family member, can witness a will. And remember, you must have two witnesses. Two witnesses. If it's just one witness, it's not a will. If your will only has one witness, it's as if you did not make a will. A lot of persons still don't know this. You must have two witnesses. There is no way around it. You know, if you have a will but you forgot or for whatever reason you did not name an executor, that will is still valid. If you have a will and for whatever reason it's not dated, it is still valid. But when you don't have a witness or you only have one witness, completely invalid. It is one of those strict rules. So please, and let me say too, we always say you can do your will on your own, but many persons are not aware of these rules. So even though you can do your will on your own, it is always advised, even if you only have one asset and one beneficiary, it is always advisable to get an attorney to do your will for you, because you do, and I've seen it happen so many times, and it is sad where persons, beneficiaries or executors come in, they present us with a will, and when we look on the will, for whatever reason, it's not valid. It's not witnessed. It only has one witness. I mean, I remember there was a situation where someone made a will. It was witnessed by two persons, but she got married afterwards. And many persons don't know that marriage revokes a will. So if you have a will and you get married, your will is automatically cancelled and you have to do a new will. But because she got married after she made her will, unfortunately her will wasn't valid. Simple will, but it was invalid. So please, even though you can do your wills, even though you can go to the bookstore or pharmacy and buy your will form, even if you do it on your own, at least have an attorney read it over for you after the fact. You don't want to end up in a situation where your will is invalid and your beneficiaries can't get what you want them to get. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for all the calls and the messages. It has been my pleasure. Thanks as always to Dervan and the entire team of Power 106. Remember that Gloria will be in the Ocean Rails office this Thursday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So those of you who want to go to St. Anne, to Ocean Rails to see her, please do so. Shop 6 upstairs, JN building. I've been your host for today, Khaleesi Finley, and thanks again. Take care, everyone.
Help us protect Jamaica's borders. Tell us about any illegal guns coming through customs-controlled areas. Call Crime Stop at 311. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30.
Are roads a major concern? What about those drains that are in need of repair or cleaning? Who's responsible for repairing my road, and when will it be done? Join us this and every Tuesday morning at 8 during Morning Agenda as we travel on our roads with the National Works Agency and get answers to these and other concerns. You're welcome to visit their website at www.nwa.gov.jm. See the tender notices link for projects to be undertaken. You may also call them toll-free at 1-888-429-5NWA. That's 1-888-429-5692. Or follow them on Twitter at NWA_JA and Facebook at www.facebook.com/NWA Jamaica. The National Works Agency, developing safe, reliable, and quality roads.
And as we fight one another for the power and the glory, Jah kingdom goes west. We the people want to know just where we're going. Right now we hands are tied behind the back while certain people if I'm button. Where do we stand? We have too far to go. not to really know just how we're getting there. And if we're getting anywhere, we have too much to change, not to know the range of possibility and changeability. Violence and crime is commonplace within these set times. No man walk free. Prophecy come closer to fulfillment in these dread times. Why should this be? And as we fight one another with the power and the glory, the kingdom goes to waste, and every drop of blood we taste. Happy we own this race, yeah. Happy we own this race. Can't build no foundation for the if and a but. Are we building a nation, or are we building a hut? And every time you ask for some old friend, you hear say just last night he made a sad game. And if you talk too loud, and if you walk too proud, watch where you lay your head. Or out the dread, where the red can't build no dreams, and a fuss and a fight. Me no care who I do it, just say that no right. And as we fight one another with the power and the glory, the kingdom goes to waste, and every drop of blood we taste. Happy we own this grace, yeah. Happy we own this grace. Can't build no dream.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. We're taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. Whatever your issues, your questions, your concerns, whatever is on your mind, please feel free to share. The numbers to call 876-922-4112-5. And the text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. Yeah, I'm calling this afternoon for a little while I reach out to your program. But I'm alive and well so far.
That's good to know.
Yes. I am calling today about human rights.
Yes.
I am wondering if you are able to answer my question today. Based on, my question is it that some people in Jamaica have human rights while the vast majority of Jamaicans have none?
So that's your perception.
My observation.
That's your perception.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have been suffering an injustice for over 2 years now, and I realize that I've reached out to every agent of the state, and I get the feedback that I got, including the media, is very, 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 very poor. Or next to none.
Why is it considered poor? Is it because it doesn't reflect how you really feel about this matter?
Well, it's not based on that at all. It's based on the lack of connectivity
they don't connect back. They are not in touch with reality on the ground.
Oh, it sounds like you're talking now about joined up government or the lack thereof.
When nobody responds to your call and they are in their house, they're on the street and you call to them, nobody responds. You are in the most grieving situation, nobody responds when there is a law and there is a system modeled to answer to such call, and people in authority like the parish council, the consistency, and other government agencies that have the obligation to respond to a citizen in dire need. You know what I mean? After an injustice.
And if you feel that strongly about it, if you feel that way about it, you can test it in court. But then I would imagine perhaps you might just say that you have tried that before and it didn't work. Is that it?
What I'm really looking out to see.
Yes.
I'm testing my experience and what I have encountered with other people who have got the same issue and is not able to reach out to no authority.
Nobody at all to help.
Yeah, nobody at all. I have reached out and I've got no response. I even got the media afraid to take my story. Afraid. Because my observation is because it's this big Mr. Malcolm and it's big Power 106 and it's big elite people in great position and these people in great position can kick my rights down the street and nothing come out of it. In a similar way, just like police brutality. One is supposed to serve and protect and rescue is giving you more brutality than serving and protecting your rights, taking away your rights. It's very, 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 very hard.
What's the extent of the brutality?
No, I'm saying, for an example, just as police brutality, when you said to them, when you meet the police on the street and said, I condemn such action based on what you have observed, and you can be faced in a great brutality based on your argument that they don't like. That's how police brutality starts in some cases today. But I am facing a high level of injustice, and I can't get nobody in authority to address it or redress it or to give me take my story or give me a temporarily assistance to restart or to take into account. Nothing of such nature.
But you have essentially started from the premise that nobody can help you. That's how you started.
No, I never started like that. I said I am facing an injustice over 3 years now, and I have reached out to all agencies of the state, and I have done some research where such agency should have taken my story, and while they are investigating, they should have been able to give me temporarily assistance of some kind. You know what I mean? Of some kind. Especially when one like me have been a volunteer for so many years in this country and contribute so much to my community and contribute so much to my country, and it seems like it's all forgotten.
So what's the help that you need?
I need my case to be looked into and my story to be investigated.
Because you can't necessarily compel.
I don't want to talk on the radio directly my circumstance because I am now in sharp belly talking to you.
Yeah, but the another fact is that you can't compel in this manner someone in a particular position to do for you what you want to be done, however, whenever, and for whatever reason.
Oh, that simply means I'm not a straight citizen here, and and my rights can be kicked down the road like a
No,
can.
the way you said it, it's as if you are compelling somebody to do something for you.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm totally upset based on the levels of injustice, also the levels of communication, which I have put all my communication out there. It's also all over the internet, and no response from no authority. The level of I got some feedback which tell me to break the law, and I don't accept that. I'm not above the law. I agree. I observe that many people in this country is above the law, but I am not, and I will never practice that. So then I am weak. When I'm not above the law, I'm weak. Anybody could just kick me out, kick me around, and take my rights away. But moreover, Mr. Malcolm, if there is any human rights in this country that one like me can pray on, and others, citizens of this country,
Test the system and see what happens.
I test it already. If you have cash, your rights. If you have no money, your rights can be taken away in a split second by high-profile lawyers and high-profile elite men and women and families and companies.
So, how do you plan to get out of this conundrum?
Well, to be honest with you, we have to do something to get our leaders to recognize the law and recognize the system, that they are weak. They are weak in terms of defending and upholding the rights of the people. They are weak. Or if they are not weak, then they don't care a damn about anybody more than themselves and their family. And it is a well-renowned Jamaican behavior. Well-renowned. Well-renowned. It's all over. But I am suffering, and I don't know who else to reach out to, because the country is small and Kingston is the capital. And I have reached out near and far.
One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45. Here is a financial literacy tip from your friends at Power 106 FM. Start an emergency fund. A mantra in personal finance is pay yourself first, which means saving money for emergencies and your future. This simple practice keeps you out of trouble financially and helps you sleep better at night. Life happens, and we do not always have control over when expenses arise. By having an emergency savings account, unexpected finances won't force you to incur debt or throw you too far off your financial plan. To determine the amount you should save, figure out how much you spend each month. Once you get into the habit of saving money, you will stop treating savings as optional and start treating it as a required monthly expense.
Are we building a nation or are we building a hut? And every time you ask with some old friend, you hear say just last night he meet a sad girl. And if you talk too loud and if you walk too proud, watch where you lay your head. Around the dread, where the rain can't build no dreams, and a fuss and a fight. We no care who I do it, just say that no right.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. We're taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. 646. Yes, sir. So how can we help you now then? Now that you have given us all the information that you have.
I would like to get in touch with someone in authority who can review my injustice and help me to get back on my feet, because I have spent many years as a volunteer, and I have spent many years representing my community, and I have spent many years to establish what have been taken away from me, and I have a few years now in poverty and bankruptcy, and I need to restart my life. I need help. I need government intervention or private intervention. I need some support. I need even to get my story of my circumstances now across to the public. Based on, there are some very big faces that need to either reach out to me just to resolve the problem, because it's an issue that it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. What have happened shouldn't be. And then it is now, sooner or later, another group of farmers will have the same issue, because if I am someone who have restored a lot to them, to others, and I am the first one to be taken down, just like a murderer come and kill me in my yard while my neighbor is happy, and tomorrow is their turn. So I think I need to get this thing. I need to actually be able to talk to somebody off the air who is able to direct me to the Prime Minister, to the Minister of Agriculture, or to somebody in authority who will listen, not somebody who will brush it aside, because who have committed such act is their friends. And that's the type of treatment I'm getting. I'm not getting a good treatment. So I'm wondering if there's a human rights here commission. I'm wondering if there's a human rights commission. And I'm worried about there are many Jamaicans who is facing or are about to face the same injustice, and their human rights have been taken away. Is human rights is any valuable point in this argument? Because I feel like human rights is a very big thing. To me, I think so.
But you
feel it like human rights when a human rights have been violated in some of the most heinous acts and the most disgruntled ways. It must be something that disturbing.
In what way have you sought to test the system?
I have tested the court. The court has to just wrap things up, because the court doesn't investigate their matter before they pass a law, before they pass a judgment, a verdict. They listen to one side of the story. In my case, one-sided story. And people who in this system, there's so many fixers. They fix every damn thing. They fix them. They know to fix them, because you may not have a good lawyer, or you may not have a good you're not well educated, or you're on a low fund, because in Jamaica it seems to me as there are both 5 different type of levels of people that is acknowledged like that to me. There are the very poor, under poverty, the super class, the middle class, and who is about to become a kind of class. So, that's where I'm worried, because I'm worried that and I have observed the rights of human beings in this country is not whole. There's no rights for a lot of us, or some of us will never even consider there is a right. And whosoever operate in these fields are not highlighted. I don't understand. There is a law for human rights. There's a right in the law for a citizen of Jamaica, or for a person born, live, to die.
Really sorry to hear of your plight, but have you, and since it doesn't appear that you are in the mind of wanting to trust the system here in Jamaica. So, how about Amnesty International?
Could you tell me more about it?
Well, what I know is that it's an organization that uses its resources to assist those in need of representation and general advice.
Is it the same Human Rights Commission?
No, I'm referring to Amnesty International.
Well, I will have to reach out to them because I'm willing to reach out to them. And it's a shame that I have to go that far. And I think Jamaica is trying to move from the monarchy to their own system, where we decide our own law and make our own decision. But I'm really sorry that one like me that is now in my early 50s, who have experienced this country and can speak for myself, that it's a dark day coming. And I would also recommend, if it's possible, that the king should check the books of Jamaica. Check the books of Jamaica since they are the heads of state. Since 1962, they should have checked the books of Jamaica and see how much they can clear or pacify or correct some of the most graven injustice and wrong and booyah that have been committed in this country by whosoever led this country from over the last 60 years. Jamaica is in a very bad position right now. And I wonder if there is any other way when people face certain injustice. And if they speak up about it, they're dead. It means that we need to start. Some of us maybe need to start to seek asylum somewhere else.
Let the journey begin, because you clearly are prepared to have your story told.
Yes, and I'm not getting. I was in touch with some reporters. They backed down. Nobody wanted to take my story, and my story is very, very important because I am one of 70 persons. I am one of 70 persons. I am in total bankrupt. I am in total, I'm totally bankrupt. I'm also losing a screw. If I'm not, if it was the will of God, I would, if I wasn't strong in my own mindset, I would have gone. I would be probably in the Bellevue or walking on the street picking up trash, based on where I'm coming from and what they have done to me, without no intervention from anyone in authority, even though I've reached out to them. And my story is well renowned because it's on the internet. It's on the internet. And, everybody is laughing after me now that I am weak because I can't do this and I can't do that to anybody. But, I can only talk. Nobody is taking my story seriously, and no one is reaching out to me to see how they could have helped me in some form of way to restart. If I didn't even get a restart, or someone take my story in authority, like the parish council, my constituency, or the government, the Minister of Agriculture, or some groups and organizations. There is nobody at all. And it really leaves me in a very bad position.
Are you able to express yourself in a way that you do not give out essential information that you wish to keep a hold of?
I'm trying my best right now. Because I know that Today, me and you is good friend. Tomorrow morning, it can be we are no friends anymore, and my story go viral. Information that I don't want to tell go viral. You know what I mean? So I am very, very careful right now. I'm very, very careful, and that's why if I should say certain things, I want to make sure I'm talking to someone I can trust.
Well, you're trusting Jamaica and the rest of the world right now.
Well, so far, but I am not saying it all.
I know.
I have said it all before on the same program months and months ago. I have been reaching out to groups and organizations and individuals that is just lip service and promises, and no feedback, no connectivity. I get no response. Or call you tomorrow, and tomorrow never come, because tomorrow will never end. There is always a tomorrow, and that's a brainwash. And I am prepared. I am well prepared for anything in terms of reality and facts. I'm well prepared, even to death, because I have only one life, and from the day I was born, I have a certain time to live. In the middle between life, between birth, life, I have this full space for life. And when my rights have been violated, it's just like carrying me to my grave. Especially when it's a group of us, and I am the only one that they consider maybe smart. I don't know what that means, but that's what they said. That's what the terms are. I am the smartest one, so I am the one to take down first for an example. But when you put everything in a project, and it can be taken away and given to somebody in a higher position, even if they don't want it, they destroy it. That's no good. My rights have been violated, and there is no human rights in this country. And as far as I can see, the way life have been just blowing out like a can of worm in this country, it tells me that there is no human rights for me. And one life, they must go stood on one side. That means nothing. That's the type of feedback I get. I am nothing. Anything can happen to me. It is nothing. Can work hard and lose everything. I'm nothing. I'm not in any position. I'm not one of these elites. I am not a friend of the Prime Minister. I am not a friend of the Governor General. I'm not a friend of the King of England. I'm not a friend of Donald Trump or these big people across the world. I'm not a friend of the big shot. I'm just a little grassroots idiot. And I don't like that, because it tells me that others are suffering. Others in my same category is suffering, even maybe even worse than me. And I would like, Mr. Malcolm, if you can help me to get to the Prime Minister. I think talking to him would probably pull a string, because he have got many emails and he hasn't responded. And I think I need to go to the Prime Minister's office and lie down at his doorstep.
One moment, please.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4:01 on Power 106.
Coming soon. A new voice to the Morning Agenda team. Morning Agenda, continuing the tradition of hosting riveting discussion on issues locally and internationally. Morning Agenda, speaking with the stakeholders, movers and shakers of our day. Morning Agenda, providing the platform for healthy public debate. And coming soon, a new voice to serve listeners in Jamaica and around the world. Stay tuned to the Morning Agenda on Power 106 FM, where we set the agenda.
And every time you ask the song, old friend, you hear say just last night we meet a sad girl. And if you talk too loud, and if you walk too proud, watch where you lay your head. Or out the trail, where the rain can't build no tree.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Thanks for holding. Please continue.
Well, I think I've said a lot. I just need to get a positive feedback so that I can follow up, because I heard I take a note of the Amnesty International, which I will be reaching out to them in short order. I will be looking them up, and I will be finding them, and I will be talking to them. There is an office in Jamaica.
I believe so. Not necessarily like that of the headquarters, but an office nonetheless.
There is anybody in Jamaica who can represent a person in a community that has graven issues like these that can lead me to amnesty?
There is the public defender. The public defender stands between the representative.
Is it that most time when I spoke with these people in these offices, they try to behave as if what you look like, what you sound like, and what your case coming from a grassroots, you are not considered for anyone of power to push them to represent me. I have observed that. It's weak, very weak. They don't consider your rights. Your rights doesn't consider. I remember speaking to the public defender on 2 occasions. And on that, at the first occasion, the public defender said it's a private matter. But at the same time, it's a private matter, but it's coming out. It's a group of people. A group of people with the same. They may not have the issue now, but I have an issue which is an example. They might be happy now and rejoicing at my downfall, but they are in the same position as me sooner than later. But what I'm begging for is people in authority that represent. They should have more knowledge how to help. Either they are lazy or they are just tired without being doing anything, but they are not willing to dig deep or to do their work according to what their job is supposed to be. They are not digging deep to help anybody. And that is my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say everybody is the same, but I have been spoken with the public defender. They said it's a private issue. They don't give me any other feedback. It's a private issue. I have to take it up on my own. And I know it's not as private as they said it, because it's a group of people. So if so much people's rights can be violated by too powerful person or too powerful company, which is a colleagues, it's similar to colonize. It's very, very similar to colonize and slavery. We are just coming out of emancipation. I happen to call during this season because it is right in my heart. It is disturbing my soul. It is hurting my personal life, and it's affecting my financial well-being. It is also crippling my status. I just can't go on. There is no help in the system that would say, all right, we have seen your case. We would want to see what we can do because it's a big. People is getting things left, right, and center for free. They have no injustice. And an injustice, when you got an injustice like mine, took away my dreams. And one like you supposed to know and why in Jamaica. If they don't know yet, they might start to get some knowledge about it now. That when your dream has been taken, it's a very, 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 very sad day. By injustice. It's a very sad day. And it can cripple your whole entire life. Especially if you don't have anyone to stand beside you. And that's what I'm experiencing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I need help. I'm calling out. I want you to help me to get to the Prime Minister because he's the only one I think will be able to answer, to give me a fair talk, face to face. A very fair one because I am trying everything before I even reach to the amnesty. I'm going to try everything to go and sit at the Prime Minister's doorstep because it's about time. Because I'm not getting any feedback and I don't like to talk to local representatives that don't have a clue what I'm talking about. I don't like it. I don't like the feelings that I got. When I discover most people I've been relating to don't have nothing to lose, so they don't care nothing about me, neither my rights. And it's frightening, very, very frightening. It's like next to death.
So what's your next move from here?
My next move, I am asking you to see if you can make a connection so that the Prime Minister can give me a call because he know that I'm trying to reach him. It is overdue. He even came up in my dreams several times. I even talking to him in my dreams, and it's not an easy person to dream the Prime Minister more than once. I even reach out to him on a campaign, which he took information and no feedback. I've got no response. No response. I even on the media talking to the Prime Minister because my friends told me that they saw me. On a tour in my area sometime in February. And I still await. I call. I can't get the system to respond. I can't get any response from his office. And I think the Prime Minister is the only person, because as far as I understand, is the Prime Minister doing most of everybody, most of the representative of Jamaica. He's the one who is doing their work. He's working for them because most of the representatives, to my knowledge and belief, is not doing their job. They are not doing it. Either they can't do it, or they are not qualified to do it, or they're just lazy. But they are not doing it. And I know that in whatever you do in life, which is considered service, you're supposed to serve and serve and serve and serve and serve and serve and feed and feed and feed and feed and feed. That's all I know it because it's next to charity. And I'm not getting that response as one who knows it. And I'm really sorry for my fellow Jamaicans who is a grassroots person and will not be able to speak up for themselves and will not be able to employ a lawyer or other legal persons.
What about legal aid?
Well, I always believe my early days talking with the legal aid, they say they only represent criminal matters, which I don't know if it changed yet. But I always fear that what I heard is that legal aid is cheap and they will just walk over them because they are big people and I am not supposed to take on big people because I'm poor. But they must take my things and they can flat me out anywhere, anytime. And not just me, but other Jamaicans who is poor and vulnerable.
And I'm afraid I'm not a lawyer, so I can't touch on
But anyway,
key.
most of what you have recommended, I have tried. And still insist that I will have to try more.
So you have tried Amnesty International?
Not yet. I was trying to get to the United Nations Commission. Though I think they are the person who will be able to open up these investigations, no matter who you are. I tried even the Minister of Justice, what does it called? They had a program that Canada funded them, like a mediation program that they could have almost reach out to the people and see how they could have come to some form of agreement to restore back, to just to come to their natural heart and said, okay, this can be looked at in a different way.
Have you tried the Dispute Resolution Foundation?
I don't. Is it the same one with the Minister of Justice?
Essentially.
I remember speaking to a branch there, but they referred me to the legal aid. I even remember speaking to Jamaica for Justice. They recommended me to the legal aid.
And did you say restorative justice as well?
Yes, and they recommend me back to the legal aid.
Yeah, well, wow.
But I think a lot of these groups and organizations are straight lazy and also don't believe in freedom.
Yeah, well, that's quite a pronouncement.
Don't believe in freedom. And when you don't believe in freedom, you know what I mean, you're just not able to
Well, we have done the best we can at this stage in terms of bringing light to this matter without giving away too much information as you would have it. So
what I would like to do to see if there is the buck will stop there is to speak with the Prime Minister. And I don't want someone asked me to go on TikTok, but I'm not interested in going on TikTok to propaganda much of this.
I'm afraid that's really all the time we have at this. I mean, we've tried to give you as much time as possible to get the information out there, but we have to move on.
Well, thanks for the information. I'm going to look it up and try to reach out to them. But I would be very happy if the Prime Minister is listening now and he could reach out to me.
Okay, well, the world is listening.
And I'm going to give my telephone number, 828-5458. This is very important, Mr. Prime Minister. I would like you to reach out to me because I have sent you many...
Go with the number again, please.
828-5458.
Okay. All right, let's see what comes of this conversation, this discussion.
Okay, then thanks for your time and for listening me out.
Sure, no problem. Thank you too. Take care.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:16.
Power 106 FM, the digital sound, and now reaching you in more ways. Listen to us on 106.1 to 106.9 on the FM band. You can also listen to us on the Power 106 FM app, which you could download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can tune in on your mobile phones by dialing 631-359-8281 if you're in the US. And if you're in the UK, you can dial 0330-606-0953. Plus, listen to us on onespotmedia.com and the One Spot Media app, or log on to go-jamaica.com. Power 106 FM, where all views can contend, giving you powerful talk radio in so many ways, on air and online.
Now this your great times. Why should this be? And as we fight one another.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. Let's go back to the phone lines. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yes, Mr. Malcolm. That man was, he sure got a lot of rights during this call. He got a lot of rights because you gave him about half an hour or more.
Mm-hmm.
And still, with all that talking, I don't quite get an idea of his complaint. I'm sure he could have stated his complaint without any details, and
Yes.
a person would have an idea of where it's coming from.
Yes.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes, Mr. Malcolm. My complaint is I would love to know the authority that governs surveyors, people who survey land. Who's the authority over them? So you know.
I think there's an association, you know.
I see.
I think let's just do a quick check. I think it's land. Gloria Brown or Calicia Finley could do a better job of sharing that information because of the nature of their work.
Yes. I tried to call when the attorney was online, but I didn't get through.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a Land Surveyors Association of Jamaica. So their website is lsaj.com.
Yes, sir. I am my chance if it's not too much time consuming. A phone number.
What I could do is get the number. Let's see. The Land Surveyors Association. All right, so let's see what we have. So there is let's see how easy they are to contact. So this is their headquarters is located at 30 to 32 Red Hills Road. Yes. And tell me when you're ready for the number.
Yes, please.
So of course it starts with 876.
Yes.
And the numbers are 754 6912.
Yes.
And the other number is 754 6913.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. If you want an email address, there's that too. lsaj.jam@gmail.com. That's lsaj.jam@gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Let us know how it goes. You're welcome. Okay, take care. Steve McDonald is now in connection with us. Mr. McDonald, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, Mr. Malcolm. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the people of Westmoreland, South Lamar, particularly, and then it's Pickett and Galveston, and also the people of that illustrious institution and in school. Dervan, first let me express my sympathies and condolences to the family and friends of those killed in Clarendon. It's really, from the mass shooting, it's really a terrible situation. Also, for the purpose of this discussion, too, want to express my sympathies and condolences to the family and friends of Dean Shaw. Just wanted to discuss 4 things in one context and give it the old Manning's school thinking cap. And one is the gun finding, or not gun, drugs finding in Havendale. 2 is the mass shooting in Clarendon. 3 is the Dean Shaw killing. And 4 is the recent social media announcement by the police, or announcement by the police in terms of how well they have been doing where crime and murder is concerned. So I will start with that in terms of from the police, the reductions that have taken place in killing and crime. And though we can't pinpoint any one thing that has resulted in the reduction, they say a number of strategies which have led to this reduction. Whether or not it's can be scalable and used across Jamaica in terms of replicated elsewhere leaves a lot to be seen. Though we welcome the reduction, I think it's still too short a time frame to say that is those strategies are sustainable over a long period of time. But I think what the 3 unfortunate situation, the 2 with the killing plus the drug finding, send a very strong signal or message to us, which we cannot ignore. And I start with the drugs finding in Havendale. It really tells us that the money is there. The money is still in the economy, and it is still available to use. And unless we get to the money, we won't be able to avoid things like what happened in Clarendon, that unfortunate killing. And another thing that what has happened to Dean Shaw, and I'm being very careful and sensitive in terms of how I say this, but we hardly see someone of Dean Shaw's stature being everything considered, being killed, unfortunate as it was, in the manner that it was. And that is telling me that the criminals are saying that really no one in Jamaica is untouchable, regardless of who they are and wherever they may live. So that is sending a very strong signal to us, which we can't ignore. And, just touching back on the money aspect of it, it's going to be hard. What that is also telling us that social intervention is going to be hard, if not nearly impossible, to stem crime. Because how can you convince someone to say, okay, not letting the guns at the port, or not give information on someone, or even to not give it evidence on someone when they have enough money to pay you 2 to 5 years salary in an instant, and then also to add the message to that to say, listen, if you don't participate, if you don't cooperate, we will kill you, and we will kill you in wherever you are, right? And all of these things combined, it's, sending a very strong signal and message to us. I heard the Prime Minister today, and I've heard people who said that, we've heard this before, and, we have someone like me who have been around and have been going through this seen this over the past 40 years, and we've seen different measures taken by Prime Minister Michael Manley, Prime Minister Edward Seaga, Prime Minister PJ Patterson, Prime Minister Portia Simsimilla, and Prime Minister Bruce Golding. So we've seen and heard a lot of this. And to be honest and to be frank, I don't think we are going to do much to stem crime in Jamaica unless we pass the unexplained wealth legislation. Because we constantly see, I don't see anyone who is involved in criminality who's over 40, who is 40 or anywhere near there. Every year, crime is so lucrative and the risk of getting caught is so low that the money is a big enticement to get involved in criminal activities. And this is where we need to start. We need to take out the money over criminal. We need to take the wealth out of crime. And until we do that, we're just fiddling. We're giving aspirin or Panadol to someone as a cure to someone who has stage 3 cancer. And if we're really serious about doing anything, if these unfortunate people who passed away and continue to be killed on an annual basis, if we really mean Jamaica will good, we need to have the unexplained wealth legislation passed. Because until we do that, yes, we may have downturns like we did when they that year when they took out the dust, but nothing meaningful, nothing sustainable is going to happen because criminality will always continue to be a force, enticing area to go into just because of the money which is involved. So I think we have to start and stop there, and then we can build from that perspective.
Thank you very much for your perspective.
I have to say today, Dervan, and thank you for giving me the time. I know someone has the monkey as the voice of the diaspora, but as the man from Westmoreland, thank you very much. It's very unfortunate what has happened, and again, my sympathies and condolences to the people of Clarendon and to all their families who are affected, and to the to that other gentleman family that has affected that was killed. All the best, Dervan.
To you too. Thank you. Take care.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30. How much do you know about spices and the impact they have on your everyday life? Join us every first and third Thursday during Farm Talk with Althea McKenzie at 6:18 a.m. for Spice of Jamaica. We'll give you tips, tidbits, and interviews about the revitalization and sustainability of the Jamaican spices, including ginger, turmeric, and pimento. That's Spice of Jamaica every first and third Thursday at 6:18 a.m. during Farm Talk with Althea McKenzie, right here on Power 106 FM. Spice of Jamaica is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture Food for Progress Jamaica Spices Project.
And every drop of blood we take, happy we own this place, yeah. Happy we own this place.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm, and we're still taking your calls on 876 922 4112 to 5. And the text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876 365 3346. Let's see. So we're Still taking your calls, but let's also look at some of the messages that you have shared with us. Cuban in Georgia says, Sir Malcolm, the politicians are in charge. They created the gangs in Jamaica, and now those gangs are more powerful than the politicians are, and architects of the gangs. They use the gangs to gain control of power and influence the outcome of every election. Sir Malcolm, I can't believe it. No human rights in Jamaica. Sir Malcolm, poor people can't afford high-powered weapons. I wonder if those who lost their lives are related to drugs, because there are a lot of drugs running rampant in Jamaica, and we are the kingfish behind the illicit drug trade. Question signs. This one from Horace, otherwise known as Spider, says, I think that gentleman who was on for a long time should have given us an idea of what he was talking about without calling names for his own safety. I think he's doing exactly what whoever he is having a problem with, he is doing exactly what they want him to do. I think they already know that he was on the radio. Horace, otherwise known as Spider. This one says, Dervan, please give each caller 5 minutes so that others in the waiting can be heard. We'll try the best we can. And another one from Cuban in Georgia. Sir Malcolm, I remember one prime minister promising the police to give them safe passage out of the community, and one police officer saying that Jamaica would pay dearly for it. Too much corruption and from the top to the bottom, says Cuban in Georgia. Let's see, this one from Neville, otherwise known as Salah, saying, Dervan, the gentleman, saying that there's no one untouchable in Jamaica. That's not true. There's an example of untouchable people in Jamaica. The Prime Minister hasn't made a statutory declarations for over 4 years, and he has not been pressured for him to do so. I rest my case. Salah from Kingston. And so we have cleared those messages. Let's go to some other messages. These came through Norman Hines, Jeannie Chambers, Faye Weller. Thank you all for tuning in as usual. Steve McDonald, well, he expressed himself already. Inez Ayona Campbell says, a pleasant Monday afternoon, Mr. Dervan, viewers and listeners. Many happy returns, Inez. Mike says, good afternoon, teacher, to you and your listeners. Keep safe. Same to you. Valerie Weller Peck, good afternoon. And let's see who else is hitting us up online. National Land Agency deals with surveyors, says Steve McDonald. And let's go over to YouTube. JM Master Songwriter Miss B. Greetings, Mr. Malcolm, she says. Greetings to you too. Steve Barnes says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Steve. All the best to you too. Patrick Howell says, Dervan, please give your caller 5 minutes so others will be heard and save on their credit. And Patrick Howell says, whenever measures are put in place to solve crime, it's the law-abiding citizens who are restricted and who suffer. Thank you for your many messages, and all the best as we continue to take more of your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. As we continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Power 106 FM. Steve McDonald was asking, what did PM tell him when he dreamt him? Because of what the caller said. And let's see, this one here says, Dervan, there will be, hold on. Let's bring it forward. Yes, this message says, Dervan, there will be a biblical, prophetic fulfillment of the, what is this? All right, not sure what that is. Gog, Magog. He says it's detailed in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Well, I don't know if it's male or female. Not sure. 876-922-4112-5 are the numbers to call to participate on both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. And the text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. Over on YouTube, Stephen Barnes says, Mr. Malcolm, you are inflating the issue now. Crime can't be solved without the citizens get involved. Patriotism is what we need, not orange and green. Thanks. I'm sorry, somebody said something about orange and green. Stephen Barnes. I have no idea what Stephen Barnes is saying here. All right, let's continue. This is Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. And let's see who else. Cuban in Georgia is sending us another couple of messages. Mr. Malcolm, this murdering has the hallmark of the clique. After all, it's election season. And Sir Malcolm, we know who runs the clique. I have no idea what you're talking about, Cuban in Georgia. But thank you for sharing nonetheless. As we continue here on Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. And we still have a few calls to take. This one. You know, we know that there are some people who like to hop on to wagons and to try and use some people's situation to spread whatever is their propaganda or misinformation or disinformation. We really don't have the time for that. We don't have that time. So please be mindful of that. This one says, I think that gentleman who was on for a long time should be giving us an idea of what he was talking about without calling names for his own safety. I think he is doing exactly what whoever he is having a problem with. He is doing exactly what they want him to do. I think they already know what that he was on the radio. I think I read that message already. Thank you for your message. And the Cuban in Georgia says, Sir Malcolm, there's been a lot of drug busts in Jamaica since last year. How did the drugs reach Jamaica? And Jamaica doesn't make cocaine. Yes, there was a time when that was flourishing, and then it came down, and a couple of the so-called kingpins were 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 taken in, and well, let's just say they were taken into custody, and certain other actions were taken, and it seemed for a while that there was a dramatic, it would appear there was a dramatic drop in the prevalence rate of cocaine in Jamaica. So it appeared. And then another phase when it went up again, which is just about now. And one wonders whether some people mean us any good. But those who know better, please continue doing better. There's more after the break.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45.
Hydro treats and win a bag of cash in the Farm to Fortune promotion. Hydro is back with another chance for you to win a share of millions in the Farm to Fortune promotion. Try for the grand prize of $3 million, weekly prizes of $100,000 plus daily prizes. To enter, buy any qualifying Hydro feed and text the entry code in the bag for your chance to win a bag of cash in the Hydro Farm to Fortune promotion. Your pocket grow. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58(3) of the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Act.
You hear said just last night, he meet a sad girl. And if you talk too loud, and if you walk too proud, watch where you lay your head. Around the trail, where the rain can't build no dreams, and a fuss and a fight.
Some more feedback here. This one says, Mr. Malcolm, they finally repaired the worst part of Brotherton Avenue. That's off Spanish Town Road. I hope the technology that the PM said he has can find those who murdered those people in Clarendon. I just hope so. Says, who is that again? That's Horace, otherwise known as Spider. Yes, it is. Thank you for your message. This one from Neville, otherwise known as Salah, says, Dervan, I hope this killing at Cherry Lane in Four Paths is not a political thing. We've passed that before, and we're not going back. We're not going back there, Salah from Kingston again, he says. Let's go to the phone lines once again, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello? Lost that call? Sorry about that. Hello? All right. Please feel free to call us back. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Oh, hello?
Yes, Mr. Malcolm.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes. I have noticed a lot of people like to mention Ezekiel 38 and 39 and say things like what is going to happen in a few years. But I have a question to ask. I notice when I read, what I see is the intended victim of the attack, what they're talking about, is very secure, in a very secure, dwelling safely, very securely, in a place where there's no security, a place where there's no security, in unwalled villages, a village with no wall. And I wonder, could it be the same place that everybody is thinking about?
Anything is possible.
Yes, yes. Well, you're saying anything is possible. But all right. But obviously there is a discrepancy there. Where people are focusing on a particular spot and a particular situation. But the description of the intended target is very different. And the people are using the book as their source of truth. And yet it's not the same as it is written. That's very, I think that's very strange. That it's not the same description as what people claim. Because the place in question is very secure. It's a military fortification, is it not, sir? It's a military fortification.
Mm-hmm.
But what is in the book is zero security. Zero security. I find that fascinating.
I realize that. Mm-hmm.
What?
I realize that.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for understanding what I'm saying. Yes, yes, sir. That's basically what I wanted to say, sir. And when you have time, you check it out for yourself. Yes, sir.
Sure, no problem. Thank you for the call.
All right.
Okay. This is Both Sides of the Story, Poro 106 FM. Still taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. And the text line 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. And let's continue. This one says, what? All right, some of it's a little insensitive too. So let's just be mindful of that and see who else is messaging us here on Both Sides of the Story here on Poro 106 FM. And let's see what we have here. Going down the line. 876-922-4112-5. And the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. And let's continue. So what it boils down to is that we all have to take responsibility one way or another. There are some things we know that we have to do or we should be doing, and there's a lapse and it doesn't happen, and we end up the worse for it, unfortunately. But in the meantime, we continue to encourage our people to steadfastly stand up for Jamaica. Jamaica needs us all the time, not just sometimes, but all the time. And it really is for us to demonstrate a level of stick-to-itiveness and a sense of purpose and stewardship in the name of Jamaica, land we love. You see, Stephen Barnes is back. Another message. Okay, that was an error. All right. We get it. Thank you very much for that correction. And all the very best. Thank you. So we continue on this afternoon's, what's left of it, this afternoon's edition of Both Sides of the Story here on Power 106 FM. And we still have a few more minutes, just a few more minutes, and we can still take just a call or two. If you have a question, a suggestion, an idea, an issue, a story, please share 876-922-4112-5. And that text line once again, 876-365-3346. And still keen to have your participation up to the final minute. So feel free to get in on a couple more calls. Winston, oh, who is that again? That's another regular listener, otherwise known as Errol. I believe he, well, I don't want to say too much, but maybe just welcome home, Winston. Good to have you on the rock. Jamaica, land we love, as we continue to play our part at home and abroad. And we want to continue to salute, celebrate, and encourage those who continue to play their part at home and abroad. And so we continue with more here on Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. And thank you very much for your participation, your calls, your questions, your messages. And we wish you all the very best for the rest of the afternoon going into the evening. And we should say a very special thank you as well to Attorney at Law Calicia Finley and the team from Land Solutions. We thank you for adding value to Monday's edition of Both Sides of the Story here on Poro 106 FM. So can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Poro 106 FM. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story will return tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us on behalf of, let's see, no one, who am I leaving out? Okay, so thank you very much to our program assistant on duty, Adrian Reed. Thank you very much, Adrian. And thanks once again to all our listeners and viewers all over the globe for making it both sides of the story. Till then, do have a safe and peaceful evening.
And if you talk too loud, and if you walk too proud, watch where you lay your head. Around the dread, where the rain can't be no dream, and a fuss and a fight. We don't care who I do it, just say that's not right. Dream, and a fuss and a fight. We don't care who I do it, just say that's not right. And as we fight one another, with the power and the glory, the kingdom goes to waste. And every drop of blood we take, happy we own this place, yeah. Happy we own this place. Can't live no dream, and a force and a fight.
You're listening to Poro 106 FM. The time is now 5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible. Our 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's news at 5.
Bye.